Hello fellow YouTubers, this is Alex here, making my first YouTube video. This one concerns an issue with my house, which most likely will be what most of these videos will be about, issues with my house. Little background, bought the house in September, so it's fairly new. The house itself is very old, 1923, so it's 91 years old. Overall, the big issue here right now is heating. Obviously, I'm in the Northeast, so we've got cold weather coming in. Already happened a little bit, so the temperature's uneven. The heating system is a steam radiator heating system, so I have radiators around the house in different rooms, some rooms with multiple radiators. That goes through from the boiler in the basement. The boiler is, I think, a single pipe system, so one pipe takes it out to the rest of the house. It's a fairly new boiler, so that doesn't seem to be an issue. It works fine for now, hopefully, knock on wood. The issue is some rooms the radiators work, some rooms the radiators don't work, some rooms the radiators heat evenly, and some rooms they don't heat evenly. So the advantage of the steam radiator heating system, and you can look up online and see the different heating systems available, the water, the steam, the baseboard, electrical heating, so part of your AC unit. This is a pretty old house, so it used to be coal, now it's a gas-steamed heating system. Steam is recommended. It's actually not that bad. It's clean air, it's steam obviously, so it's not as water, there's not a lot of leakage going on. Not yet, at least, hopefully, so we'll see, we'll find out. But the issue that I've had is I have a two-family home, so I have tenants living above me, and my apartment is on the first floor. On the first floor, my dining room, the radiator doesn't work, and then the radiator in the foyer, the entry room right before the dining room, partially heated. So, and there's two different types of radiators that I have in there. One is just, it's just part of the wall. So the dining room, it's an in-wall radiator, not with a panel, but an actual radiator inside the wall. And in the foyer, in the entry way, where I have the closet, the walk-in closet, and for the coats and for shoes and everything like that, there it's a standard type kind of cast iron. So both are cast iron radiators. So the issue that I had was I had to change the gas valve, the air valve. So steam obviously gets, the boiler boils water, steam comes up the pipe, it hits the radiator, it pushes the air that's in the radiator out of the radiator and replaces it with steam, and the radiator warms up and heats the house. To do that, there's an air valve that clears out the room, so that's the advantage of the steam system. There's only two moving parts, right? There's the boiler, which is, hopefully it doesn't break, and hopefully it works, and so hopefully you'll get 20-30 years out of your boiler. The second part of the heating system are the radiators, and in between, obviously, there's pipes that connect the radiators to the boiler. As I was saying, as the air gets pushed out of the boiler, as the steam gets pushed out of the boiler into the radiators, the air goes ahead of it, goes through the radiators and out the air valve. So my suspicion is part of my radiator issue is my air valves aren't working. And that actually is true, because I've already taken off the air valves, and I'm recording this after I've done it. So my air valves were broken. Let me actually show you one of the air valves right here. It's actually a fairly standard Gordon type air valve. If I turn it around for you, I think it's a number 6. They usually come from 4, 5, 6, and C. I was actually just at Home Depot today, and we bought some that you'll see later on as I replace them and I put them in. The 4, 5, and 6 are, go in the order of, usually the 5 is for the second floor, 6 is for the second floor, the 5 is for the first floor. There's a 4 that is for any radiator that is close or right over the furnace. So, for example, my furnace is right above my kitchen, but my kitchen does not have a radiator, so it's not actually that bad, because the furnace radiates itself, so my floor on the kitchen is nice and toasty. The number 4 valve usually goes there, if you have one. There's also a C valve, so I have a third floor where I have another apartment there. It's part of the second unit. So for that one, it's the C valve. And then you can also buy adjustable, and I'll show you. I bought both 5, 6, and C, so for the first, second, third floor. And then I also bought adjustable valves. The adjustable valves have different settings for how big the exit is and how much air can go out. And if you look at this one, for example, right here, this is where the part that screws into, so you see this is the screw with the threading. It screws into the radiator. The steam pushes the air into here. It goes out here, goes through this hole, air comes out. So inside, if you'll hear this, there's, I don't know if you can actually, sorry about that, some dust. I don't know if you can actually hear some motion in there. There is a valve in there. What happens is the valve gets steam heats it up. The valve usually has alcohol or some other element in there. You can find that online. There's people that actually break this down and show you how it works. So it heats up, the valve goes up to the top, closes the hole, air can't come out. So after the air is out, it heats up because the steam, that means steam's reaching it, right? Once the steam reaches it, it heats it up, valve closes, and your radiator works. It goes out, and then the different sizes is what helps you kind of regulate the speed and motion of the steam throughout your house. So you can play around with the adjustable valve and see if you make it smaller or larger, if you want the air to clear out faster or the air to clear out slower, and that'll depend on maybe your other radiators warm up faster or slower. So that's how you regulate the room temperature, and it's a balancing act in there. The other part of the radiator heating system is the pitch of the radiator. So you have a standard radiator. Maybe I'll actually insert a picture right now, and then we can kind of just see the standard radiator. So right here we can see my in-wall radiator inside my dining room. I know, exciting. So I just showed you the picture of the radiator in the dining room that had a new valve. So that shiny little air valve you saw there was the adjustable air valve. That's a Home Depot product. I'll show you how we put it in. It's fairly easy. You unscrew the old one counterclockwise, turn left if you're facing it. Old rule is lefty loosey, righty tighty. So left you loosen counterclockwise, right you tight. So when I took it off, I don't think anybody actually put any Teflon tape around it either. So on the new one, we put Teflon tape around. When I say me, myself and my dad. So that's the we. So I'll actually probably now put in a little video, quick show of how we unscrewed it, and then I'll see if I come back or if I'll show you how we screwed the next one in. I'll try to narrate as we go through. So really quickly here, you can see me unscrew it. It's a little bit tough at the beginning, a little stuck, but turning right, a couple of turns, and it removes it. So it was pretty easy afterwards. You can see I just took it off. The camera work isn't great, but it's off. It looks fine. So on this one, I'm taking out the new Home Depot adjustable air valve. This is the one we're going to install, so this is just a quick kind of opening the package and taking it out. And this is the valve after it's out of its package. You can look up top, the red is where the adjustment can happen. So there's a little screw, you go with a flathead screwdriver, and you adjust it to kind of do it to one of the settings there. And you can see some of where the air goes in and where the steam goes in. And now this is the process of my dad putting on the Teflon tape. So you can get Teflon tape for $1 at Home Depot as well. And it just provides a little insulation and keeps it there. So now over here I'm going to show you kind of how to turn it in. If I had a bit better camera work, you guys would be able to see it. So there we go. So the Teflon tape is on. We've put it at the air exit point, and we're screwing it in. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about screwing it in, just being careful not to lose the threads and not to break the whole air valve in there, and that's going to cause bigger problems. So I'll talk to that about in a second, because you can see it has to be upright to work, and so once it's upright, it'll be in good shape. So as all of you could see in those little clips there, first removing it, going counterclockwise, and then screwing it in clockwise motion. So unscrew left, screw right, again, just basics, but just to make sure everybody is aware when you're facing the radiator and when you're facing the air valve. Just before even doing that, just to give everybody a warning, just a heads up, turn off your furnace when you do this, because there's always a risk that steam will come out and will burn you. It's scalding hot steam, so there is a risk you'll be burned. So we actually close the system, and then we also shut off the valve. So there's a shut off valve that I'll put in a picture, and actually just right now, just to show everybody. Mine's in a little weird position. Right underneath it, as you saw, mine is an in-wall radiator. So usually on the standard one it's above. You'll see it in some of the other clips. It'll show the standard radiator. It's easy to get to. On the one that I have, it's at the bottom, and so you just have to close it. So again, you lefty loosey, righty tighty. So you'll turn it right to tighten it, and once you tighten it, it'll close down. So how the valve works, there's steam coming. So if you have a vertical pipe, steam comes up the vertical pipe, the valve is on top of it. When the valve closes, it pushes a piece of metal, a screw in there, down, and blocks the air from going into the radiator. Mine is, the pipe goes up, but I have a valve on the side, and then it goes, then there's another pipe going up to the side. So it has a valve that screws in, and it closes the same, it has the same concept. So if it's open, the piece of metal is in there, steam comes up, goes up the pipe. You close it, blocks it, doesn't go in, your radiator's cold. So fairly simple. I should have a whiteboard, but I don't, so we'll have to do it with the hands. So I mean, that's turn off the valve, turn off the system, unscrew it, screw it in. There is one little thing that we did cheat around there. Once we unscrew the valve, the system hasn't been cleared out and the air hasn't been pushed out in 3 years, maybe even more, who knows. So we actually unscrewed the valve at first, turned on the system, opened up the air valve, and let the steam come out, and then we screwed in the new air valve into the air exit area. So once we saw steam coming out, we started screwing in that air valve. So you didn't see that part, but not recommended. It's more recommended that you remove the old air valve, put in the new one, turn on your system, open up the vent, let the steam come up, and let it heat up naturally. So that was it, but let me show you actually where on the side it's located. So as promised, here's the picture of the mechanism to close the valve here on the left side. So now next I'm just going to show you quickly how to adjust the adjustable air valve that I've put in. Again, it's common that you can buy it in Home Depot, Lowe's. I saw it on Amazon. Actually, Home Depot was cheaper than Amazon, so went to the store. Had to buy some rock salt anyway. And just basic, you need a flathead screwdriver. You unscrew a little bit just to loosen it, just to allow the little adjustment tool to go in. You adjust it, you then tighten it back up, and you're ready to go. There's a little hole in the back that you'll see, that's where the air comes out of, and there's a little piece of metal guard kind of going around it, and if you cover half of it, obviously, then the air gets out slower. You open all of it up, the air goes out faster. And that's the thing you'll have to play around with when you adjust your whole system. So let me go show those clips, and we'll go through those pretty quickly. So this is the adjustable air valve. This is the guard that kind of protects the whole face is the radiator. On top of that, there's a little flathead screwdriver that you can, flathead area where you can put the screwdriver in, loosen to the left, and then once you loosen to the left, you can then adjust the hole and kind of how fast you want the air to get out. More hole covered, the left slower goes. So that was kind of just loosening again, just showing you that you can adjust the speed of the air exiting your radiator, and thus control how fast it heats up and how slow it heats up, and then that also affects some of your other radiators. And again, that's balancing your system, and that's one of the big complaints people have with steam radiators and steam systems in general, is some areas of the house are colder, some areas of the house are warmer, and I'm encountering that. So, but there are ways around that, so I'm going to play around with it and see what I can get, what I can't, and I'll keep you updated. Now I think the next thing I'm going to show you is just some of the clips of the front radiator that I have that's adjoining the dining room. That's the foyer. That's once you get off the porch, you come in, there's the coat closet on the left, and then there's just a little room, just kind of change and take off your clothing and take off your boots. So that's more standard radiator. That's probably what most people have, and most people that are watching this will have it. And that also has a Gordon type of air valve that was old. It was removed, and then I put in a new valve that's circular, not the adjustable one. That one's a number 5, so that's the first floor. So again, 5 is for first floor, 6 is for second floor, and C is for third floor, with number 4 being for radiators that are right over the furnace. Not I don't know if they mention that in some of the other videos that you might look at, or if they mentioned in the store even. Home Depot was nice enough to label some of the floors that these were appropriate for and recommended for. They don't always work like that. You'll have to find your own system and kind of get used to it, but that's the general rule. So I'll show some of those videos, narrate a little bit of it, and we'll see where we go from there, and then I'll kind of close out the video afterwards. And so over here you see kind of the standard radiator that most of you have. That's my front door on the left. And you'll see between there you'll see a little air valve. This is the replacement valve I bought. So this one's a little different. This one's a Mado Mist. This is a number 5 valve. So it's hopefully for this location, and you'll see kind of the same process. Kind of unscrew the old valve, put in the new one. Again, left to unscrew, right to tighten. As you saw, the steam valve was actually turned off on the right side. And I'm just kind of showing here that it heats up, that's my dad's hand on the other side, that it heats up top but doesn't heat up below, which makes uneven heating, and it's a waste of energy. So we'll remove that and replace it, and that's how we'll get around it. So this one was also a little bit tight and a little tough to get off, but then it went. So I'll actually, after I'm done with this, I'll kind of go over some of the real big risks here of removing these and putting them in, and kind of why not to do it too much. Again, this is the same one, same kind of concept. It was pretty old, wasn't working, the valve was stuck and wasn't moving around, so that's why there was some uneven heating there. I mean, it's not the worst thing that can happen, so not feeling too bad. This is the new one, very shiny, very nice. Not adjustable, so this one's made for the first floor and hopefully works. I'm going to give it a try and see how it goes. Next, we're going to put on some Teflon tape on that as well. So there you go, some Teflon. My dad's great with the Teflon tape. You usually want to go with clockwise, so when you screw it in, it'll screw in the same direction. Once that's put in, you then screw it into the radiator, and once it's screwed into the radiator, it should work fine. So he's going to put it in right now. As you can see, camera work again isn't great, but just a few rotations and make sure it's facing up. And I'll talk about some of the risks you can run here, just to be really careful. And it's on. Voila. See that? And it'll heat evenly now, so it'll be good. Now, I did say I was going to talk about a few risks that you run while you're going to do this. There's really two. One for when you start, for when you're taking it off, when you're taking the air valve off, and one where you're putting it in. As you saw, I did 2 radiators there. Tomorrow I'm probably going to do 2 or 3 more just in the other units, because I just wanted to give it a kind of a day just to see how it works, and then tomorrow if the 2 valves here work fine, I'll use the same kind of valves upstairs at the second and third floor. So I'll do probably 2 radiators in the second, 1 in the third. But the big issue here is when you remove them. So you saw they were a little tough to start to remove. So when you remove the air valve turning left, both of them were a little bit stuck. So like it turned and took just a little force. I didn't do it hard right away because you just don't want to. The risk is you don't want to break off the air valve, right? So that's the real bad deal you're gonna get. You break off the valve there, you can remove it. There is, I was prepped for it. I was hoping it wouldn't happen, and it hasn't happened yet, and hopefully won't. If it does, then I guess we'll have a video of how to remove broken off valves. Usually they'll snap off, and some of the threading will be left inside. There's a tool you can put in, remove that threading, but then you'll have to rethread your, radiator. That's where you get into the second issue, and that's once you install your new air valve. When you put in your new air valve, the issue you're going to run, if you over tighten, you'll mess up the threads, right? You'll break the threads, both on the air valve and in the radiator, and the worst part is in the radiator. The air valve is, I think, the adjustable air valve was $847 at Home Depot, or $850 something, and then the number 5, 6, and C valves, the standard circle one that aren't adjustable. Works a little bit more expensive. I think they were $9.50 as well. Some maybe a little more, a little bit less, somewhere in the middle nines range. And that one was so they're not expensive. So those are easy to replace. Problem is if you break your radiator or break the air valve threads in the radiator, you're gonna have to rethread. If you're going to rethread, you might have to go up a size and then take a transistor. So transition kind of. There's one with a little higher thread on top, and then one to make it smaller on the bottom, so you can now fit the standard air valves in it. That's gonna be a pain in the butt. So you gotta avoid that. So it took me really 2 rotations, one, and then the second rotation, I just kind of had to force it to go up, but didn't go to the third one. Once you feel it get tight, don't over tighten it. It should be tight because you don't want it flying off with pressure coming out, but you want it tight enough. So as long as you can do it with one hand, and you can, and some guys are stronger, some guys are weaker, or ladies if you're watching this, just standard kind of. I don't really know how to say the standard force. I don't know what the pressure is required. I can't really tell you, but it's a feel. If you feel it's not going anywhere, you're gonna break it, and it's not upright, take it off, re-screw it again. At the end, it's got to be upright, so the air has to go up, out, not at the bottom, because the thing that's going to happen is the little piston in the bottom that's going to push it up. If it's facing down, it's going to close, and you're not going to get any air out. If it's up, it's going to require steam to come out, push the air out, and once the steam reaches, it heats it up, it closes the valve. Again, that's how it works. That's the concept. You don't want to, if it's not right up, it doesn't work. But you don't want to lose the thread either. So that's really the goal you gotta go for. Just gotta be careful. Careful taking it off and careful putting it on. So if it doesn't go, try something WD-40. Hopefully it'll go a little bit quicker, and once it goes easy, it won't break. And you don't want to bend it either. If you bend it, you're gonna run into some major issues. Other than those two, just make sure you don't burn yourself, obviously. So turn off the system, do the replacement, turn the system back on, and check it. You can always unscrew it back on, and the Teflon tape, that's one of the things that it helps out with. It makes it easier to screw it in and screw it out. If you screw it out, reapply the Teflon tape, screw it back in. That's really all I have from the fixing here. I'll try to see if I'll make some recordings tomorrow, maybe not, because this should be the same standard concept. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments section. If you have any comments, leave them in the comments section. Be nice. Sorry for the long video, but that's about it. So just be safe, and you can fix the steam radiator system. Shouldn't be a problem. Give me any hints you have as well, and maybe I'll make a video if I get a lot of good hints or questions, and I'll follow them up. Thank you. Bye.